Hello, good evening. It is the club call. It's Wednesday, the 20th of September. It's the Everton Club Call. Toffees Takeover latest. Ned's gone there. Hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't. I'm getting that in early.
Yeah.
So just get it done. Stop being stupid and do it. Or continue being stupid, but do it as well. It's up to you. That is up to you. But here we are. And yeah, it's Toffees Takeover talk. Apparently, that's what Ned said. So yeah, I wonder.
That was the great words.
Yeah, Ned. I mean, I wonder what he's got for us with that. Our mate's been back writing stories this afternoon.
Oh yeah,
not our mate, but Everton, friend of Everton, Mathew.
Oh, Big Matt.
Big Matt. He's been going at it. Been going at it for a few years. Yosser, yeah. With the probably the weakest article I've seen for a while, saying that Premier League teams are going to oppose Everton's takeover tomorrow at the Premier League meeting. It's not on the agenda, but he's heard that someone might say something. It's a genuinely shocking.
For what reason?
Display.
What reason? And I mean, and you know, I'm just being devil's advocate. But for what reason?
Because it might damage the brand if Everton struggle.
Oh, sorry. So it might damage the brand.
Premier League brand.
Then, not now.
If Everton get taken over by someone like 777 and then they get relegated or they can't keep it, it might damage the Premier League brand. So everyone's going to complain.
Does sports washing not damage the brand?
Don't think so.
Does being taken over by a country in the middle of the night not damage the brand?
And the fella legging it before business starts the next day? Well, apparently not. And apparently that... He does reference that in there. Oh, people were opposed to the Saudi takeover, but it got put through, so people don't want that to happen again.
Fair enough.
So, there you go.
Very interesting.
Was a very interesting story. I'm wondering, I've said this a few times, I am wondering who's feeding who's feeding lots of it, because there is, I remember people weren't happy with the Saudi takeover. There was a lot of opposition from other fans and things before it was there. But I don't remember 3 stories a day. And that seems to be what's happening right now with Everton.
There might have been 3 stories a day. We
didn't notice it. Maybe there was. I just don't. They didn't catch my attention. And obviously they wouldn't, would they? It'd be one of them. But there just seems to be lots of stories every day about it, which is, I'm just wondering. Got no problem with them writing it if they genuinely got our concerns.
Oh, I believe
if they're worried about us.
I believe they
because you know, remember when the Sly Six tried to get off. Can't punish the fans.
No,
the journalists and Sky were very in the crowd. You know, in the fans thing, in the fans corner, fighting for them until they realised that they weren't going anywhere. Then it all went quiet. So maybe they just got our best interests at heart, but. There is a lot of noise around there. And it does feel like someone is continuing to feed the story every day.
Yeah, it does feel like that, doesn't it? It feels like there's some... Well, we spoke about this earlier, didn't we, over on Toffee TV Premier when we were talking at dinner time about who does it serve best. And that's a hard one to work out, because... 777 come in, it could be damaging to a lot of people who work at Everton Football Club. So that there's that side of it, I suppose. But I mean, why aren't any of these journalists reaching out to actually the group themselves and trying to find out what's going on? You know, why aren't they doing that? Why are we? Because as we said earlier, all the stories about 777 and 777 are negative, aren't they?
Yeah.
Let's get that right.
Absolutely,
they're all negative, right?
Yeah, I've seen no one saying they're the white knights.
No.
Nobody saying.
No one's saying that. No one's saying they're coming to save us. Although in the last 48 hours, there has been a narrative that if we don't get taken over by them, then we're obviously in real trouble.
Well, let me say this and you carry on, pause. Everton Viking says, horrible that not long ago I was hugely anti-777 and still am really. But now I'm just praying they can save us.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of us
Well, that's what I'm saying. That there's been a shift in the narrative. Not that they're any better or there's any proof. But the shift in the narrative has been now that if they don't come, we're in trouble. And that's definitely been done on purpose. These stories are 100%, okay, 97.5%, I think, out there to make sure that fans start getting that feeling of dread that these have got to come in.
Oh, do you? Are you thinking it's them?
No. But there's going to be people at the club whose job it is going to be to smooth the transition and say these are the perfect people to come in. There'll be people at the football club who feel like there's a confidence this is going to happen. No, I don't know whether there is or there isn't, because I don't know how the deal is, the deal is going to be structured. Last week, stupidly, I spoke about it and said I didn't think they've got any money, and I still don't think they've got that kind of money. But obviously, if it's done over a series of years, and the owner's that desperate to get out, that maybe it is. But there will be people whose job it is to smooth this through, to make fans feel that it has to happen, create a sense of jeopardy, and therefore, yes, you do want these people to come through. But I think, can someone in the media try and get an interview with these people and before it happens and calm Everton fans' nerves? Because ultimately with 777, 777 if you will, the clubs they've taken over are clubs that were in trouble before they come in. Now, for some of these people, they won't have had enough time to sort this out, and for others, they'll get the blame maybe when they shouldn't have got the blame. And there'll be different things at different clubs, of course. All clubs have different problems. Here to Berlin at the weekend, we're demonstrating the fact that they didn't want consumerism shoved down their throat by a football club, because the German rules are they hate that kind of thing. And, we've seen that there's been a huge backlash in the last few years to the likes of Hoffenheim and more recently Red Bull, RB Leipzig, because German football fans hate that kind of thing, and stand up for themselves, and they got rid of Monday Night Football because they don't believe in that kind of thing, and they are genuine football fans who won't be pushed down. They wouldn't have half of this crap we deal with. They wouldn't have games getting changed with 2 weeks to go. They just simply wouldn't. But the flip
wouldn't
side,
have the Sky 6 either.
No,
they wouldn't accept it.
The flip side of that is, of course, they don't get the money we get in this country because of it. But they're quite happy with it because they get to go to the match for cheap, get travel. And
their experience in football as it was intended, aren't they?
They're not asked about this being the biggest league in the world. They're all they're interested in their league. They all feel like they've got a chance.
The competitive, even
maybe not winning it,
but certainly getting everywhere
Union
else.
Berlin, playing the Champions League tonight.
Fantastic.
Come from absolutely nowhere. That's the thing they go for. But I would love one of these people in the media to reach out and say, come on then. Let's have a chat. Have a chat. You're the prospective owners of Everton Football Club. Tell us why, in the way, without obviously going into legal stuff, tell us why it's going to be all right. Tell us what your plans are for Everton Football Club. Tell us what you're going to do with this great football club.
Yeah.
I don't think that's too much to ask for. I think these people, might want to sit down, and if they don't want to sit down, why don't they want to sit down? You might get the old, we don't want to say anything before everything's signed off. Sit down and tell us about your plans for or any of your football clubs. What goes on at your football clubs right now? What is the multi-club system? How does it all work? How are you getting the best for all of them? How are you sharing ideas? Tell us, and put that at rest. Put some maybe Everton fans who are feeling really jaded at the moment and don't know where to turn, because the alternatives are Farhad Moshiri, who is a man who is checked out. He is checked out. Or these people that always seem to see as bad headlines, bad stories. Let's have some context about what is going on with these people. And maybe that'll put a lot of people... Why wouldn't you want it if you were coming in to buy a football club or you had to prove? Why wouldn't you come in and go, this is what we are trying to do. This is what we want to do with your football club. And we do have the resources, and we do have the know-how. And this guy here, let me introduce you to this guy here. And actually, he helped form the City Group. Do that? Do we? I don't think that's too much to ask for, surely. Rather than having this situation where we're getting hit pieces every day. That may be true, may not be true. Let's have some context of what's going on.
Yeah, I just don't know what they can say and what they're allowed to say. That's the only thing with that. I'd be delighted to hear them, just so I could hear something of, you know, it doesn't have to be
But it doesn't have to be bad ever.
big crazy. No, it doesn't have to be big crazy, outlandish claims as well. Oh, we're gonna win this and we're gonna do that and all that. But it would be good to hear a plan. But maybe they can't do that until it goes through. I don't know. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But it would be good to hear. Of course, it would be, because we are too often left in the dark. Yeah. We are the last to know. The football club might want to say something and can't. They might want to say something and can't. I just don't know where it stands. But one thing's for sure, it's making the news every day, isn't it? It's very, very. There's a lot of stuff out there about it every single day, and you can understand people being nervous, worried, upset by it, because all we can do as fans is just sit and wait, isn't it, really? Because that's where we are. We feel like we're in a purgatory at the moment because the results aren't good enough. It's not like we play good football. That's not good enough. If we were doing that, if we were getting some results and we were feeling all right about that, then this would still be a concern. Of course it would. But we'd also feel like things weren't totally desperate, and ultimately for all of us, most of us maybe, football is the most important thing. Everton doing well is the most important thing, regardless of everything else. Scoring goals, we don't want to. I don't want to sit here every day and talk about 777 and this group, and there's
someone's got to
money.
Change the negativity, haven't they? Someone's got to change the narrative. Someone's got to pull us out of this. It's not happening on the pitch. If we were winning games of football, things would be a lot different. You'd have that thing at the back of your mind, but you'd know it was a worry. But it's a twin thing at the moment, isn't it? It's like we're not winning games, and that can change. Of course, that can change, but people are starting to really fear now. That administration word's being thrown around now. People feel that the club cannot go on the way it's going. So we need to know what is going on then. There's a lot of worried people out there. A lot of worried. And the media are adding to that. And that's fine. Because it's important people write stories about Everton. It's important people give context to what's going on. It's something that for a while we've been calling for. The problem is now is it's very, very real. It's very real. When you hear stories like 777 have given £20 million to the football club to keep it going, you've got to give context to it. And I know the club won't deny it or confirm it, but you've got to give context to that. Why is that 20 million being given? People are going to go, well, does that mean we need 20 million every month? Where's the money going? Why have we got no money? Is it all being given to the stadium? Well, it can't be. That simply can't carry on. Or is it because we are stuck in the cash flow at the moment? We're waiting for the next TV payments or whatever. But people want to know answers. We just earned £30 million off of Wobie and Gray. Now, of course, we will not get that all in one go. Of course, we won't. We'll have been given an upfront fee, and the rest will come over the year or over the years. And maybe that's enough to satisfy people going, right, you'll get your money when we get our money, and that's in the big banking world. That's or in that world, that's fine. Everyone knows when they're getting the money. It's not a case of we're going to call it in, because there are things. You know, we're led to believe that MSP's charges against the stadium. So if they don't get their money back, they're getting the right to the stadium. You know, we've seen with Rights and Media, they've obviously got charges on different properties. 777s is apparently unsecured, but because it's simply against the fact that they think they're gonna take hold of the football club. We've got to know. We've got to know as the fan base what is going on at this football club, and this continued silence is very, very damaging. And I do feel sorry for people at the club, because they're having to run around and put fires out and put stories out, and you know there's a lot going on at the moment, and there's going to be a lot of things that are out there that are going to make things a lot worse. That might not be true, or there might be half truths that get blown up to prove a point. You know, listen, it's. When you're hearing stories of like people having had their wages paid and stuff like that, of course it catches fire.
Even though they have all been totally and utterly rejected.
Yeah,
by different
the
sources,
story has
but
been
the
rejected.
stories are out there.
The stories
of
are out there.
It's easy to say stuff now. Once you've got a fire burning, it's easy just to throw stuff on it.
People, you can't deny every story. All you can do is advise people that those things aren't true. But we live in a world, what's it called, the post-truth world, where to actually conspiracy theories are really easy because you just don't believe anything. You don't believe anything.
Fake news.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Someone denies something, you go, well, that's just part of the narrative,
that's
isn't
what
it?
You're saying.
And that's where we are at the moment a little bit. So we need some clarity. Someone has to come and speak to the fan base. Otherwise, this is going to get away from us very quickly. And I know people are seriously worried. Let us know what this is. Club Call. We want to hear from you. How are you feeling? How are you feeling about the game on Saturday? How are you feeling about 777? How are you feeling as an Evertonian in general? You know, let us come on and tell us how you're feeling. Click that link at the top on the top page on Premier and let us know how you're feeling. Are you feeling? Listen, there might be people out there who support other clubs who have had dealings with 777 because they've got something to do with their club. Let us know. Let us know. Are they positive? Are they negative? You know, if anyone from the Vice City Evertonians is watching from Miami, get on and let us know what your feeling is, what your reaction is to this situation. Because I know last week they said they were going to release a statement. I don't think they did because they were waiting a little bit. But if you know anything about these people, get on and tell us about them because I think it's important that we are all communicating as a fan base.
Colin says, hello lads from Turkey, Marmaris. I was going to go to the Everton bar, Towson's. It was called a couple of years ago, but it's turned into a Geordie place now.
Oh no,
that's how low we fall.
That's how bad it's got.
It's not good. Jez says, hi, you loves. You are doing sterling work, but I've noticed that all the fans just sound burnt out by the endless madness of this club. I wonder if Toffee TV Thursday therapy might be needed, where you both try out various healing and meditation techniques with special guests. We could send in gags and memes and lift the spirits, because this is hitting rock bottom at the moment. Just an idea. Tantric Baz chanting, incantating.
Got his crystals out.
The crystals.
Get your crystals out.
The crystals need to come out. The healing crystals. Phil says, hello lads, so grim every bit of news regarding our club. I want to know where is the front page spread for us in the Echo, like that shower ad with the Hicks and Gillette. I get national media don't give a crap other than the Mail. You kick it while we're down, but it's understood. But I can't understand the Echo. Bill Kenwright has blood on his hands and look. Well, yeah. That's
the one thing I'd say is Joe Thomas stuck up for us massively. He's put us on the front page. He's done his best. I don't know whether I almost feel like with this story that's so big, what piece of it do you grab? Like what, or are they waiting for something? I don't know, because what do you do? Because Machiri's trying to sell the club, evidently. So you can't go on the front page and say, get out of our club. He'll go, I'm trying.
Yeah.
I think for someone like the Echo, I think it's hugely important they try and speak to 777. They try and get an interview with them. They try and speak to Josh Wander and find out what his plans are. And I think from their point of view, that's what they should be doing. The first people they should be speaking to is local media and trying to get the Evertonians on the ground to understand what they want. Because at the moment, we are, as I said, we are working off horror stories from other football clubs that might have completely different problems than we've got. And I think that's really important, that they come in and say, well, number one, we're going to do this and we're going to do that and we're going to sort the stadium out. Don't have to worry about that. We're going to put our money into the stadium so it's built, and actually no money will be taken out the football club, and everything will be fine from that point of view. And we're not worried about that and that, because at the moment you'll have people thinking we're going to get relegated. We're gonna get points deductions. We're not gonna own our stadium. You're gonna have all these things that add up to a lot of stress. Where, as I said, maybe if they was to come out and say, you don't need to worry about that, at least you can hold them to that. Then at the moment, I just feel like there's a wall of silence again.
It just depends what they can say, isn't it? But yeah, it would be great to hear something, obviously, to try to settle everybody down. It is a difficult one, isn't it? The fans need something to make them feel all right about it, because everyone, it is scary, isn't it, for a lot of people? Yeah. Just seen an interesting. I mean, RC says Spider-Man game's got a month to go.
That's
a positive.
That's a positive. That's a positive.
Martin says bad manager, bad recruitment, severely bad owner, terrible chairman, and as for the team, no words can describe that lot. Okay. I've just seen one. Raymond, I think it was, had said, can't really judge 7-7 yet because their club acquisitions have all been in the last 18 months or so.
But people will judge them though, won't they? People will judge them because they're not judging them by that. They're judging them by what they read in the stories. And also, you sort of can judge them in a way because they are so new to football. Because they've only been doing it. They might be making mistakes due to the lack of experience. So, is that what you want in your football club? They might do something. Go, listen, we've learned so many lessons in the time that we think we're massively equipped to deal with the problems at Everton. As I said, speaking is the best thing to do. Right, we have got Rob on the line. Hello, Rob.
Hello, lads. How are you?
Ned. Can't hear him.
Ned.
Ned. You there, Rob?
Yeah, can you hear me, lads?
Yeah, go on, mate. Go on.
Mate.
How are things? You all right?
Not too bad.
You know, as good as they can be, yeah.
I know, yeah. It's all a bit crap, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you know what? The reason I'm calling up is I was listening to your Daily Live earlier, and you read out a comment from a lad who said, he's an Everton fan, 44 years, but he's living in Ireland, and he just burst into tears because he felt so alone, having no other real Everton fans to talk to. And
Liam, it was, yeah.
And do you know what? It really struck with me because obviously I can relate to that. Like, I listen to Toffee TV every day, really, and because the club don't tell me anything. I don't hear anything from the club. So, I was watching Business with Blaine, and I didn't know that administration was even something that could happen until I heard him say that. And I've got to be honest with you, I'm more confused now than I was 10 days ago when all this happened.
Yeah.
I thought at first, when I heard the 777 partners, the first thing I did, like anybody would do, is I opened up Google and I got 10 pages of pretty negative stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's not for me. Then there was a bit of hope that MSP might jump back in, or the fact that it was now publicly known that the club was for sale. I thought, well, look, at least now he's not telling the Fab that it's just, that he's just looking for some sort of financial help. Now we know it's for sale. Now we can cut to the proper story here.
Yeah.
I thought somebody might jump in and say, you know what, now we know what the price is even. Now we know it's for sale. Let's get in. But, I mean, I really can't make my mind up if this is a good thing or a bad thing. So I'm sure you lads are the same as me, but I'm just confused. Day after day, nothing. There's no clarity. In fact, it gets worse, I think, the longer it goes on, because I mean, if it's a choice between administration and 777, well then, yeah, okay, 777. But if it's a choice between 777 and anyone else, anyone else might be the answer to that one. So, look, I know it's a tale as old as time with everything, that there's no communication. I mean, it's all well and good saying we want to hear from him, 777, which will be fantastic. But we've been asking to hear from Kevin Towell, and we've been asking to hear from Bill and from Farhead, and we've been asking for all sorts of stuff for years and years and years. And I just don't know. My head is fried, to be honest with you. Absolutely fried. I'm sure you lads are the same, but I've got no one to talk to about it. So,
That's why you're here
We're always
talking
here,
to us.
mate. We're always here.
I see, my missus, she's funny. Like, I've got 2 young boys, and I put the match on the weekend, and she'd say to me, who are Everton playing? And I could say, Sheffield United. She'd go, what are they like? And I go, we should beat them. She'd go, will you? And I go, probably not. And she just starts laughing.
Yeah.
We're together 6 years, and she's used to Everton losing every week, and me just being, yeah, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's like, all my mates are all United fans and Liverpool fans and Arsenal fans. Like, they haven't got a clue what it's like. United fans, my mates are moaning to me about United being poor. I'm like, mate, you haven't got a clue. You haven't got a clue. It's just tough times, isn't it? Really tough times. And listening to the videos, Business with Blaine and Daily Live and Collins, it is a bit like therapy. Because, what else how much can we take? You know what I mean?
Oh my God. It's grim, isn't it? I think you're right. It is. It's the confusion, isn't it? Because obviously we know that it's been knocking about that Everton's finances aren't great. But when it's brought into focus and sharp focus like it has been, now I still think the administration word is probably worst case extreme example of what could happen. But if Everton can't get it sorted, that's exactly what will happen, isn't it? So it did take me by a little bit by surprise that is closer than maybe what we thought. But something has got to happen to sort this out, because we can't carry on the way we're going, quite clearly, because like you just said, it's your missus is 6 years in and already she knows exactly what it's like. Well, we're all a lot longer in than that, aren't we? And we all know what it's like. So something's got to give at some stage. Something's got to change, hasn't it?
No,
I think just a bit of clarity. A bit of clarity is all we want, because Everton don't tell us anything. We get our information from Toffee TV, from Twitter, from Everton Spaces. And a lot of the time it's people run with something, they jump on and you say it, and then 24 hours later it's fact. But no, we really don't know anything, because nobody's told us anything. Like, it's all well and good saying that this crowd have interest in 7 clubs, 2 of whom are minority, 5 of whom are majority, and 3 of those may be protesting. But why are they protesting? A lot of people didn't really look into that. It was, the protest, they must be terrible. But why are they protesting? And there's obviously a clear strategy in the clubs that they go after. They clearly go after the stressed clubs. Yeah. They're not buying clubs top of the league, and they're not relegating them 12 months later. They're buying clubs who have struggles. They may be able to get them on the cheap. Maybe they go in there knowing, look, we've got to just get through the first 24 months before we can really do anything. But obviously, if we knew that, if somebody sat down and said that, we might all say to each other, you know what, grand, we can do that. Because let's be honest, we're not going anywhere anyway. But when you hear administration, and with that might come a 9 or 12 point ban, and you think of the points we've been hitting for the last 2 years, it means almost certain relegation to me. I mean, I don't see this Everton team getting 45 points, which is what they would probably need if they got a 9-point ban. So it's just terrifying times. And as I said, I didn't really have a question per se. It was more just to ring up and...
No, that's great. You don't need a question. It's not about having a question. It's about actually you...
It's your point of view,
point of view, so...
We say ours every bleeding day, so it's good to let someone else talk about it.
Yeah, well, fair play to you for doing that, because, as I said, the club don't tell us anything. So, I walk my dog and listen to the videos, and honestly, without it, I wouldn't have a clue what's going on. There are some people you can trust, Alan Myers of this world, but, I'm kind of blessed. Like, I moved, I'm from Liverpool originally, but I left Liverpool many, many years ago. And you don't really hear much about Everton over here. We're not on the newspapers. You can't buy the jerseys in the shops. Nobody really cares. We're just a bit of a running joke. But I can imagine being back in Liverpool and picking up the Echo or whatever it is. There is a serious agenda, and it does seem like, kick the club when they're down. And because the club never comes out and says anything, you could really make up any headline you want. And within 24 hours, somebody will have retweeted it and somebody will believe it.
Yeah.
And it's just horrible, isn't it? You look on and you see, if this deal goes ahead, MSP are going to recall the 100 million loan, and then you start going, gee, what's that going to do? And you just, look, it all goes back to communication. It always has. The first thing I do would get someone into that club who could, I've heard you say before, get Alan Morris back in. Absolutely. I think he's doing his best for us on Twitter, to be honest, trying to calm everybody down. But it's just a really bad time, isn't it? Like, if, as you say, if we were winning football matches or even just not losing every week, you might at least look forward to sitting down at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. But like, we can't even enjoy an international break now because, it's every day. It's every single day there's something. Just like, I wonder sometimes what other fan channels do on their daily lives. They must have anything to talk about. Like, I can imagine if I opened up the Burnley fan channel at 1 o'clock tomorrow, they'd be going, what's it like? Whereas here, it's just meltdown, because it just changes every single day. And look, that was it, lads. That's all it was. I was hoping if I rang up, some other people might jump on after me and give me their thoughts. I'll be listening anyway, but
I'm sure they will.
Just terrifying times. Luckily, I'm going to Malaga tomorrow for a few days. So,
nice.
I'm hoping they won't be showing the Everton match the weekend because I don't want me holiday round as well. You know what I mean? So, look, that was it, lads.
Nice
thanks for having me on. And fair play for the work you're doing. Honestly, it's great stuff. And thanks very much.
Cheers. Thanks very much, mate. Take care. See you later.
See you after. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, good call. Make sure you give us a call and don't ask us a question. Just tell us what.
Give us your point of view.
Your point of view.
It is. It's bad, isn't it? It's bad because they are. I guess we are in that. We're in that mode where we can. Maybe the people can't say stuff for legal reasons or whatever, but that doesn't help us.
Surely you can, no.
I just don't know whether you can,
Surely you can come out and say, these are our plans for Everton Football Club if we buy it. I mean, I don't see what legal threshold that... I understand not being able to talk about the money. I understand that kind of thing, but surely you can come out and say what your plan is, and when we get in,
this is what we're
hoping to do from day one. I know, and okay, you don't talk about the loan. I understand that, but you say if we get in, this is what we're going to do. And why can't you do that? Well, honestly, because at the moment it just feels like, again, silence, not knowing what's going on. Wow, we really just said it there. If you type in 777 on Google, you will open. It'll all be negative stories. It will all be negative stories. Now, I don't know whether that's all true or not. But if they were to come out and speak themselves and give us, Josh, if you're watching, mate, give us a bell. No, well, just like give us some insights. Do an interview, speak to whoever, and speak to them and give them an insight of what you're going to do with Everton Football Club. I understand it's a delicate time. I understand no one from the football club's going to speak to anybody at this time, apart, not on the record anyway. But we've got to know. We've got to know because there's no respite from it. There really isn't. It's just negativity after negativity.
That's it, isn't it? That's what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
Let's hope that we get a bit of respite from it because it does feel it's just too difficult for people, isn't it? It's just such a kick in the teeth for people who just want to enjoy their football club.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Absolutely.
And I think, to be honest, it's difficult for for Everton Football Club because they probably can't say anything because or who says it? Who gives permission to speak about it? It hasn't gone through. I don't think the football club could come out and go, well, if 777 buy us, they'll want to. It's not there, but 777 then. I've got to find a way to get that information out then, maybe, and try to calm the fan base because they could end up being a good thing for Everton if they've got a plan, if there's a strategy to do it. Because it does feel like Everton have been run without a plan. Farhad Moshiri's certainly tried to open, or whoever it is, but they've tried to spend money to do to make Everton better, but they've done it without actually thinking, will this actually make this club better, rather than it just being, yeah, I'll give you that money, but there's nothing to it. You know, and again, I've said it lots of times, his first thing should have been bringing his own people in and changing that board and getting his own CEO in and all that, and making sure you have your recruitment team and your football recruitment team listening to them, not getting involved, not listening to agents whispering in your ear, not taking recommendations on players.
No, well, he's destroyed it, hasn't he? Let's be
honest. But that's where we are, yeah.
Mike's still there? Yeah, we got Mike on the line. Go on, Mike.
Hello.
Hello, mate. Yeah.
First thing I want to talk about is the manager, if I can.
Yeah, go on, Mike.
Of course you can.
If he goes, which I think, unfortunately, well, I say unfortunately, at some point I think he'll go. And the reason I said unfortunately is because I'm really, really bored with the amount of managers that we've gone through in the past, however long it's been. I'm losing count, but I was never very good at maths. So,
you know that it's a few, Mike. That's what you mean.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But if he does, and it might be a controversial opinion, I'd give it to Wayne next, because he gets the club. He will obviously demand the best from the players, or else, I would have thought. And I think not that it'll be difficult. I think the football will be more enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a lot of, haven't spoken to Wayne. His ideas for football are very, very different to what I think people might believe. He's a young manager. He's obviously cutting his teeth, done a bit here. Obviously, he's over in MLS. He's got gravitas to him, hasn't he, Mike? That's the thing, I think. And I know people will say, well, that's similar to Lampard. But I think Rooney's gravitas is completely different to Lampard. Rooney is Scouser, Evertonian, won everything. But he demands a level. He absolutely demands a level. You see that? You've seen that as a player. And it is difficult. It is difficult because there will always be those Lampard comparisons, and I understand that. But I just think that there is a few differences with him in terms of, obviously being local. His family are quite local as well. Rather than having family living in London and him living up here on his own, those kind of things. I think he understands right now as well. Haven't spoken to him. He understands it, doesn't he, Baz? He understands the issues that Everton have gone through, and he understands what it'll take to change it. Now, whether he can change it, that's a different thing, and I appreciate that. But I think there has to be a point where Everton have to go, we're going to have to give this to someone long term. Now, I don't know whether that's Wayne. I don't know whether that's a Steven Schumacher or someone like that. But we have to get out of this cycle, don't we, of giving a job to a manager whose sole responsibility is to stop Everton being relegated. We have to give a job to someone who is for the long term, and it doesn't matter what happens. They believe in that person's identity and what he wants for the football club as a whole. And I think, I know it is a gamble, and of course a lot of people will think it's a gamble. A lot of people think it's a major risk. But what isn't a gamble, I suppose, at the moment? That's the thing, isn't it, Mike? Who isn't a gamble? Sean Dyche is a very experienced manager, and you've just said it yourself. You're sitting there and you're bored, and he's not getting results. So, actually, what's the difference? What is the difference to having a different kind of manager?
No, exactly. And just on the standards, I was watching the final words when I saw your run on the standards of the football club, which I loved, and 100% agree with. My standards when I was growing up during the Moyes era were just being the best of the rest, and hoping that we could have a good cup run because of the lack of money. I tell you what, I'd love that now.
Wouldn't we all?
Wouldn't we all, mate? Bloody hell.
I'd absolutely be out of my chair dancing down the street for that.
Yeah, mate. We'd be with you, mate. Honestly, dancing away.
Anyway, I'm not having that, Mike, growing up watching the Moyes era. Behave yourself. You were there when Billy Bingham was the manager.
Come on, I'm not that old. I've just got one more thing.
Go on, mate. Go on.
You can put up with me that.
Go on, Mike.
I was in a pub for the Sheffield United game, as I do all the away games, and I got talking to another Evertonian in there, and I mentioned Bill Kenwright, and this fella told me to go home and Google what Bill Kenwright has done for the club.
Okay.
I frankly couldn't believe. Because I'm sure by now you know I'm in the camp where I'm maybe not his biggest fan and think it's time for a change. Yeah. But yeah, I got told to go and do my own work.
They still exist, mate. They're still out there. They still exist. These people walk amongst us, mate, and I've you know me as well, mate. I have no issue saying it how it is when it concerns that man. Said it before, and I'll say he's the biggest drain on this football club for me for 30 years. I don't mind saying that. People might have different opinions, but for me, he's the biggest drain on this football club. He created this culture. He created this culture of what I don't
little old
Everton, and he did. He created that culture. He created that. When a man says I had to remortgage my house to pay for things, why have you remortgaged your house? Why don't you sell it? Well, you sell the club.
Exactly.
Yeah, honestly, mate, you know my feelings towards him. The sooner he's out the club, the better. I've been saying that for 15 years. He's
won't be long. Won't be long.
No, won't be long.
Change is coming.
Yeah.
Just on that as well. With the what they call the marches.
Yeah.
Are they likely to resume, or are we playing it by ear?
I don't know, mate. I'll be honest. I'm not privy to that kind of information. I just hear the information like everybody else. I'm not. I've got enough on my hands with doing this every day to sort of concern myself with those other things. But I don't know where it stands at the moment. I've just put something on Twitter before about, as a fan base, we need to do something, as in not talking about marches. I'm not talking about doing things that are seen as negative, but as a fan base, we need to find a voice. We need to find some kind of voice, because there's a lot of us here. We've got fans all over the world. We have things like this. There's other podcasts, of course, that people listen to, but we just can't seem to find a voice that is universal, that is getting our story over to people, or getting what we want over to people. And I think that's something that we have to do. And I don't know whether that comes through the fans forum. I don't know whether that comes through the fan advisory board. I don't know. But I think we have to, as a fan base, find our voice. And that's not me sitting here ranting and raving and it's whatever. We have to find a voice somehow. We have to come together and say, as a collective, as the 40,000 or wherever we go every week, to the 3,000 that go to the away games, why and I think this is something that they've done. The club has done very effectively over the years. They've broke us up. They've broke us apart. They've pointed at the people who are marching and gone, they're trouble causers. They've grabbed the people who like Bill Kenwright and have treated them specially. You know, and I know that for a fact. I know that for an absolute fact. And we have to come together as a football club and put those things aside. And whatever it is, I don't know what that is. If it's not marching, if it's not wearing yellow and black, I don't know what it is. But we have to find a way to come together and say, we're not happy with this. We're not happy with the football club we've got. I don't know what it is, Mike. But listen, if people decide that protesting is the right thing to do, I mean, of course we'll talk about it, because that's what we'll do. And if it is, I'll be there, mate, because that's what I think. If you're trying to lend your voice to the better of the club, I'll always be part of that. So, and I know you will be there as well, trying to run me over.
Yeah, totally. No, the reason I asked is because I don't want to just go to the game and just watch Everton fade away, basically.
Yeah.
Just go on, sorry.
No, go on, mate, go on.
I was going to change the subject, so you go first.
No, I was just going to say, you're absolutely right, mate. That's the last thing any of us want, is it? Is to see our club just fade away. And then afterwards say, how did we let that happen? Because there is this thing of, it can't get any worse. And every time we say that, it gets worse. And I think as a fan base, at some point, we have to say, what can we do collectively to change this narrative of where our football club is going? It's like it can't get any worse, and it just continues to get worse, and it's right in front of our eyes. And people bring up things like administration. Oh no, that could never happen. And you're like, well, actually, it could happen. If you can't pay your bills, if you can't get money through the door, it can happen. So go on, mate. What else were you going to say?
That leads me on to my final point. So thanks for that.
Go on.
Just on this potential takeover or whatever it is, 777. I'll be honest, I don't know anything about him apart from what I've read on Toffee TV, but I just want someone to come in and push this great club in the right direction.
Yeah. Absolutely, mate.
Whether it's 777, whether it's, I don't know, me nan or whoever.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right, mate. And I think that's the worry, isn't it? Is that we haven't been getting that general feel that these people can do that. And that's what we were saying before, mate, about maybe one of them doing an interview and trying to change that narrative, try and make some of us feel hopeful that that's what's going to happen.
Hopeful? What is that?
Gotta have it, mate. You've got to have it, haven't you?
Yeah.
I know.
Thank you for that. I'll let you go.
Nice one, Mike.
Nice one, Mike.
We'll see you soon, mate.
Yeah, see you soon, mate. Take care.
Bye.
See you,
Mike. Ta-ra, mate.
Great call, Mike. Good call.
He's right though, isn't
friend
he?
of the channel, Mike.
We've gotta do what we can, and you've got to have hope as well, and we have to, in some respect, from if 777 are the ones, then we have to have something we can get on board with. Then what can we do to help our football club as well? I think, like I said before, and it's obvious, stating the bleeding obvious, but if they do take over, there'll be a whole new board, and that'll be a positive, I think, for a lot of Evertonians. New chairman, new CEO, amongst others. We have to get a proper engagement officer who works, gets stuff out to the fans and communicate Alameyers, whatever, and work with the good people we've got there as well, and get that together. And we all have to be able to have something to believe in, because right now people are down, people are worried, people are scared. They've got to find a way to try to bring everyone together. You know, you go on social media and people are bitching and moaning at each other and sniping at each other and all of that nonsense, and that's because people are wound up. Where I bet you if Everton calmed everything down and we started moving forward, that'd get less and less. That kind of thing, I think. We all want to be going in the right direction all together. And that is that's the biggest thing for me, the biggest challenge that whoever's got. Yes, you've got to have a way forward, of course you have. You've got to take the fans with you, because if you don't, where are we? Chris Rankin says, Baz, the board and CEO did not bridge the gap with expenditure. It was just pick up the phone and ask Daddy. No, that's what I meant. When he come in, there was no plan. He should have cleared everybody out who was there, put his own people in. And it should have been a plan, Chris, to make money, to drive the football club forward. It shouldn't have been, where's Sam? Because I can just ring Farad up and get another 50 mil. That isn't working. That's not working a business. That's just having someone to bail. It's know what it's like. You see on these films, like or do you see these kids in like American films, and the daddy's the trust fund for them, and they just live without any rules. But then he cut them off, and it normally makes a good film if they can turn it around. But that's what we were like. We were just like, well, it's all right because we've got income from over here. But what if that income stops? Well, when that income stopped, all those people, but the spotlight went on all those people who weren't good enough at their job to be. They either weren't good enough at the job because they couldn't do the job, or they weren't good enough at the job because they couldn't stand up to the owner. And that was where we are. So this next step, it might be an opportunity. I'm trying to be ultra positive here. It might be an opportunity for the football club to have a bit of a reset, a hard reset, where we maybe have to do things a bit more Brighton, Brentford-esque, with careful recruitment. Got no issue with that. Lower wage bill, no issue with that. We'll have to play our part as a fan base, and we've got some of the best fans in world football when we're all on the same page. We've got some of the worst when we're fighting with each other, but in general, we've got some of the best. We'll all be needed. If everyone's as passionate at taking this football club forward as I think we are, we're all going to be needed. All of us. Just on the super chat before we go to Alex, who's waiting patiently. Sweet and Sour Soccer says, we used to cover Everton a lot on this channel, and as Wolves fans, we know about bad owners. We felt like it was difficult to talk about such an intricate situation. Nobody wants to see a club go bust. Thanks for the super chat. Thank you very much. Yeah, you're absolutely right. We're all in I hate using a phrase, but people use it. It's like a football kind of football family. Hello, football friends and all that. But we can all appreciate football clubs. You can all appreciate fans of what they go through. You know, we have a bit of thing with Newcastle thing, you know, over the years. I don't know why, but we have. But you couldn't help feel for them when they felt powerless when Mike Ashley's in charge. Same at Crystal Palace when Steve Parish bought the club. Their club was going out of business. We have seen a great club like Wolves over the years struggling at one time and managed to turn things around. It's horrible. If you want other examples, a club like Bury Football Club who were just bought by some fella and didn't care and he went bust, and it's great to see them resurging, coming back now. The greatest story of all, but Wrexham, their fans had to buy the football club, and look at what they're doing right now. Hope we don't get down to National League, by the way. It's there. And we've had this a lot. I've had of Aston Villa fans messaging me, West Ham fans messaging me, Man City fans. We want to see, you know, with you and all this. It's like, you know what I mean? We can all see it. We can all take the piss and want to beat each other and all that. But when you see it, you can appreciate what fans are going through when they are struggling. But it can turn. Liverpool are, you know, they were 35 minutes from administration. And Hicks and Gillette, when Hicks and Gillette were there, and FSG came in and changed it. That's what I know that's massively optimistic, but that's what we have to hope, that if it is 777, these people do have a plan for us, and it makes sense, and they can put the money where the mouth is. I don't mean Newcastle levels and Man City levels, because you couldn't do that anyway, but a plan where the fan base can go, you know what, okay, we can see a way out the woods here, and we can get on board with it. Alex has waited patiently anyway. Let's go to Alex. Are you there?
Hey chaps, can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you, mate.
Firstly, I just want to say that Angry Baz on Monday was one of the best bits of Toffee TV in ages.
Was I angry on Monday? I can't even remember Monday. But
Angry Baz on Monday was
Right.
fantastic.
Okay, I was going to
Not because
apologise.
you were angry, not because you were exasperated with being an Everton fan, but because you made a lot of sense. And not that you don't make sense daily, but you were just laying it all out. And I think, you know, I don't understand how the fan structure works. I know John's talked about this in some, but as far as I see it, there's nothing we can do. Like, you know, when Mashiri came in, he bought a minority stake in the club, gets himself to 94%. If he wants to sell it to 777, if he wants to sell it to anyone, that's his prerogative, right? You can do that. And I know we're concerned about what that means as custodians of the club, but at the end of the day, we'll always be custodians of the club wherever we are. And so we have to have faith. But you know, I think the challenge is you hear one thing from the club, but you kind of also get the sense that he just wants out. And the first person that puts their hands up, that's it. You know, first person that says, yeah, I'll go on a date with you, that's it. He hasn't really looked at it. And that's why I just don't, you know, I was called up a couple of weeks ago, I think, and said, I just don't get with the stadium, with all the things going on, why you wouldn't have at least 2 or 3 bidders right now. But if you look at the timing of it, it's clear that when MSP came out and that exclusivity piece ended, 777 were probably there straight away. But so I actually don't want to talk about that, but I actually want to talk about the team.
Yeah, cool.
And I watched the game at the weekend and I was just devastated watching it. And I thought, because I was watching it through the lens of the first game under Dyche.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't get my head around it. And I'm in this situation now where I'm like, I don't want to advocate for managers to leave. You know, there's people that I listen to that are way better at football than me that say that one of our assets at the moment is to have Dyche as manager. But God, I just look at it and I'm like, we look awful. And I appreciate the XG of the games. I know we were playing against Arsenal and we need to be positive. But I just think, where are we, like, whenever anything is going well or anything that's going bad, you look at 2 things, right? You look at what goes in and what comes out, right? What are the lead indicators and what are the lag indicators of any success you have in anything you do, right? You know, if you want to train to do a marathon, the success doing a marathon wasn't the day itself. It was all the training you did before the marathon, right?
Yeah.
And when I watch Everton at the weekend, I genuinely don't understand what we're doing. I watch, like, we talk about Onana, right? I actually agree with you. I think there's a lot of potential there, but he's not anywhere near the races. And yet there's a couple of times he picked up the ball and I'm like, oh, you could just see his body language moving to make a triangle. And our players just running off. Like, there was no patterns of play in anything we're doing. If you look at Crystal Palace's squad, if you look at Nottingham Forest squad, they've invested, fair enough. But you look at Crystal Palace's team, like, they're not better than us. They're not a better team than us. I'm sorry, they're not. Sure, they've got a couple of interesting players there, but I just cannot get my head around what I saw at the weekend. I can't get my head around some of the stuff we're doing, and I just don't get how we've had this list of managers who can't get it to work. I just, like, you know, Dyche talked about standards. Dyche talked about performances. Dyche talked about we need to stand up and we need to be accountable. Lampard talked about this.
Yeah.
I honestly, I cannot, you know, and I felt for some of the players out there. I felt for Beto. I actually really enjoyed watching him. I was like, he looks like he wants to get himself stuck in, but he's just standing there in the middle of the teams playing triangles around him. It's like, someone's got to get up there. Decore, like, where's he? Like, he's disappeared.
He was dreadful at the weekend.
Is he not on it? You know, they put Onana in as a 6 and they put Idrissa Gueye as an 8, which we kind of thought maybe that's what we should be doing to get the best out of both of them. Anonymous again. And then spending a ton of time getting the ball to the halfway line to then pass it back to Pickford. I was like, don't stop doing this. I just look. I know the XG from the games against would suggest differently. And look, if we'd beaten Wolves, and it's if my auntie had bollocks, should be my uncle type conversation. But we are in that place now. You're like, now's where is the stuff that Dyche? Where's the stuff that Dyche should bring us? Because if it's about being resolute, being compact, hitting teams on the counter, and having like those 5 or 6 chances a game where we just smash and grab teams, I'm fine with that. But we didn't even have that.
No.
And I know it was just one game, but like even that game in the cup, Darlington was it?
Doncaster.
I mean, it was awful.
Mm-hmm.
It was like they looked like they understood how to play football and we didn't.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, right, we have to be coaching these. The model we're now bringing is Trinity, Beto, Godfrey, young players, Mikolenko, regardless of whether they're up to scratch or not. We're going to be buying young players that we hope will be assets for the future.
Mm.
And the biggest indictment of the lot, and I'll shut up and you can go on to someone else's, wasn't the most embarrassing thing that our best player was the player that was on loan last season at a different team.
Yeah.
Brambley was our best player,
and
he's just spent a season on loan away from us.
Playing football.
That's what maybe we should say, do you know what, James Garner? You're not going to get a huge amount of game time. You're going to be 20 times better if we loan you to, Standard Liège or someone like that. That is scary. And other things we've done, like Awobi, I don't mind we sold Awobi actually. I think that's the right thing to do to where we are as a club and how we should be building for the future, making money from players we sell. But by God, we've got to start having a coaching model. And me personally, like I said earlier, you've got lead indicators and you've got lag indicators, right? Every single time someone in journalism puts a question to Dyche, he comes out with some clever clogs answer. I'm like, mate, just answer the question. What have you been working on in training this week? Well, you've been working on this work. Just answer the question, Sean. And maybe the reason why is because you don't know the answer. And that's terrifying because right now, if we haven't got a system of play and we haven't got patterns of play, we might as well. And I don't even want to let it leave my mouth. But what are we doing with Dyche if we don't even have patterns of play?
No,
we might as well. Look at Company. You're kind of questioning whether they can play that way and survive, but at least they're playing that way. Lampard wanted to play that way, and then put 5 men behind the ball because he didn't trust us to be able to play that way. At some point, I want someone, whether it's in the club or whether it's someone that's played for the club, who really understands football at the level that I don't, to go, the reason why Everton are not doing X is because the way that they're set up or the way they're balanced or the way that they're running, look at our running stats, look at our passing stats, whatever it is, explain to me why we can't play football, because I don't understand why we can't play football. And I watched it and I'm like, we've now had 3 managers that have come in talking a great game and we look crap. Sorry to be that way.
No.
But the positive of it is, if you look at Palace's squad, you look at Bournemouth squad, you look at Forest squad, it's not like you go through don't get me wrong, they've got some good players in there, but I think a fit Dominic Calvert-Lewin, which I know he's not, but a fit Beto and a fit Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I'd have those over Palace's 3 strikers any day of the week. No problem. Easy. So we can't just say we've got the worst squad in the league.
No.
We can't say that.
No, I think I disagree when you say we're a better team than Palace. I agree when you say we've got better individuals than some of them. Absolutely. I think they're a better team because they're a team. And I think there's a few like that, to be honest, Alex. You look at them and go, we've got some decent players in here, and yet that team over there that hasn't got as decent players are actually a better team than we are because they've got a way of playing. The big thing for me is, and again, if you're looking at something you said, you looked at the Arsenal game through the lens of February when we played February the 4th, when Sean Dyche's first game, was absolutely the right way to play them. Get in the face, try to deny them space, and then we break when we can. That day, we should have put 3 past them. We should have. We missed a couple of sitters, and on Sunday we didn't lay a glove on them, and it wasn't because they were perfect and were supremely better. We just didn't have any answers, and we had no answers with arguably a stronger attacking outlet, and yet there was no change at 1-0. So the question is, ultimately, could we be doing better with different way of playing? I think we probably could be, but right now we're not, and that has to change very quickly. Otherwise, he will be changed very quickly.
Yeah.
Won't it?
Yeah, I think he gets away with murder, I'll be honest with you. I think he gets away with murder in the media. I think anyone who watches the football, they just tend to go, well, Everton really do struggle to score goals. And it's just like, well, whose fault's that? Like, I get all
the players as well.
No, but I get all... It's a football manager's and a coach's job to improve footballers, or they will be sacked.
Yeah. You've got to get results as well.
Give me evidence of the players he's improved, and it's a big fat 0. Bar Dwight McNeil, who was basically on the floor when he came in, and all he had to do was play him in a position and give him a little bit of confidence. And for me, I think he gets away with murder, because I don't see anyone saying Everton are not very good, are they? It's always, well, all the stuff off the field, and he's had to sell this player and had to sell that. His job fundamentally is to make the players better, or like you've just said, Alex, patterns of play, a way of playing that makes Everton score goals or create chances. If you're missing 1 or 2, then you need to make 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, and that's a simple fact. And that's not happening. And lesser sides, or sides that you would go, oh, they haven't got loads of amazing players, seem to do that, and we don't. So, we'll see what happens.
Everyone's got to improve. The manager, the players.
You could see in that February game against Arsenal that we were scraping around like crazy in Feb, right? But you could just feel. I wasn't in the ground, you boys were, right? But you could just see it. Like, we were at them, and they didn't like it. I remember a game under Carlo against Wolves. I think we were away, and we had injuries up top.
Yeah.
And I don't think we even played with a striker. I think we won.
We didn't play. Yeah, we won. Yeah, 2-1.
We played Gylfi, and we played James Rodriguez.
Oh well, yeah.
And you looked at it and you thought, this lot are going to be on us. And every single time we got it, tactically, there was a way that we'd been set up to play. And you're like, oh, geez, we're causing problems here. We may not get the goals because we don't have a striker, but it was absolutely clear that we were going to play them a certain way, and we walked away with the result. Yeah. Under Moisey, you could just see it. It was never the prettiest, but you could just see, right, Fellaini's going to go in here, the ball's going to be thrown in, Baines is going to do this, Pienaar's going to do that. I'd imagine most teams probably knew that was going to happen, but we just played that system so well. And look, I get it. We've had players that have been injured. You've been players out of position, what have you. And I actually don't think Dyche's a bad manager. But at the same time, I don't really understand the detail behind the coaches, but under Lampard, some of the coaches we had, I'm like, how can Mykolenko be crap when you've had the best left back probably in Premier League history coaching you for 5? I just don't get it. And I don't. The bit I don't understand is, how is it as a team? Because you're right, Baz. We do have better individual players perhaps than some of these teams, but we can't play as a team. I just don't understand how it's been sustained over so many. I never rated Koeman. I liked Silva, but I think there was a limit to. He's not. You've got De Zerbi, who everyone thought Silva was going to be like De Zerbi, and I don't think he's ever really stepped up to that.
No.
Martinez to me was, this world-class coach that everyone sees but doesn't exist. So don't get me wrong. I think we've had false dawns with managers.
Yeah.
But with Lampard and with and that's why I just don't get where if we bring in that next manager, let's say we could even possibly entice Graham Potter or Wayne Rooney. Forget, it doesn't matter who they are, right? It's like all these managers come in with philosophies. It's like they just can't get it across.
There's no one.
Almost like it's just endemic in the team that it's almost like, do we just have to go through 6 windows and just sell everyone that's been part of what was previously there? So there's none of this sort of like, what do they call it back in the PTSD or previous managers.
The thing about it, Alex, it'll only change when someone comes in who's brave enough to maintain what they're doing. Right? We had Martinez was, to me, should never have been given the job, but we had a really good season, and then the players he had, he massively underperformed for 2 seasons and deserved to go. Then we got Koeman, who the club had second thoughts about, and the minute it got a bit rocky, they chased him, even though he's got the second highest win ratio under Managerial. We had Allardyce for a bit, who did all right, even though we didn't like him. Marco's a really good coach, but like you've just said, he come in, and even Koeman come in and talked about a high press 4-3-3. We're gonna do this. Within 3 weeks, he changed.
Yeah.
Silva come in. We're doing it this way. His teams were dead attacking, dead exciting to watch. We never saw that. He never really. He was right. Just need to get more players to play the way I want to play. He didn't have the confidence to puff his chest out and go, "This is how I play football." The only one that did it was Carlo, because of his experience, and it wasn't great, but it got results. Benitez was a disaster, and he lost players through injury, which didn't help, and everything else. Lampard come in and want to play high press. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. Shit the bed and went to 5 at the back, and then didn't have the balls to continue with 5 at the back and go, for now, we can't play any other way. Yeah. And then we've got this fella who people wanted and were like, he's the right man. Well, every time I saw Burnley play, bar against the likes of Man City, they give everyone a game. They were horrible. There was no space. They were in your face. And I think the manager's caught between two worlds. Yeah. I think he's caught between wanting to do what he did at Burnley and thinking he's Everton manager and we need to be more attacking. But we're not actually doing either. Yeah. So if he just went, right, we're playing 4-5-1 and we're nicking, like you said before, we're going to sit in and nick a goal on the break. Do it then. Do it, but don't do what Silva did. Yeah. Don't do what Silva did and sit in the middle and then and be going, I want to play that over there when we get there. And then you lose that many games that you've gone before you've even had the chance. And at Fulham, he's stuck to the task. Yeah. So
I suppose we'll never know the answer to this, but in hindsight, 2020 in rearview mirror. But maybe the question is, if Everton had taken the approach on Eddie Howe, knowing what he's done, knowing about what he took, he did a great podcast where he talked about what he did when he was out of a job. Would our fortunes be different because of how many of the existing squad he took over at Newcastle that are still in and around the team and have got significantly better? If we'd have
took Moyes instead of Carlo, we'd be better.
100%
that's just a fact. That's just a fact. Carlo was great and Avenham was fantastic and he was a brilliant manager. But we just weren't set up for Carlo Ancelotti. No. Whereas David Moyes would have got in, there was still a little bit of money to spend, and he would have had Everton organised. I'm not saying we'd have been brilliant, but we would have been organised. And I don't think we'd be in the mess we're in now. But that's not to say Carlo,
Is West Ham any different under Moyes now than Everton were under Moyes? He's bought the right type of players without spending too much money. He's
won a trophy.
Except they're going to sell the big player. It's the same. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a recipe that's worked. And look, all I'm trying to say is I'm not advocating that we get rid of Dyche. I don't like how negative we were and how negative we have been. We should have been more expressive against these teams and put them to the sword like Wolves and others. But the bit that I just cannot get, and I can't understand why no one who follows Everton, who has been a previous player, can actually say, why is it that we've had 3 or 4, inverted commas, good managers who came in with the right principles and it's turned and they have not been able, bar maybe the odd player here there, have not been able to get a tune out of any of these players at all. I just don't get it. I don't understand if it's the fitness. I don't understand if it's the nutrition, the coaches. I don't understand whether maybe, the fabric on their T-shirts is too thick and they can't breathe properly. I'm being joking, but there's got to be something in there that explains why we are not coaching better players who are, let's be honest, I don't know the average age of the team now, but it must have come down a lot. I just don't get it. But anyways, thank you very much for having me on.
Nice one, Alex.
Too depressing.
No, some good points, mate. Take it easy.
Nice one, mate.
See you later. Ta-ra, mate. Yeah. You can hear in everyone's voice, can't you? Everyone's voice is just what is going on right now. What is going on? It is depressing, isn't it? It is depressing. P. Macker says, I remember Big Robbie Lyle in your studio, gutted we got Mashiri and Usmanov. They dodged a massive bullet.
They did.
He was. Remember that one? They were very, very disappointed. Very disappointed that they were really, really disappointed that they didn't get him. And that was the thing, wasn't it? We hoped that he'd come in and be able to make big changes, but it didn't happen. And now we are where we are. We've got to hope that, like I say, for me, I just think that Sean Dyche has either got to go, look, this is what I'm doing, and go back to what he knows and stick to it. Or if he doesn't, he'll be moved on, and then the next manager, the next Everton manager that does all right will be the one who's brave and sticks to what he's good at.
Absolutely.
I thoroughly believe that. You can take your pick with whoever that is. Things on. We've got Chris.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris, are you there?
How you guys doing? You all right?
You all right, mate?
All right, mate. Go on.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I actually went to the match on Sunday. Seeing my girlfriend in London, so I drove from Acton in London to the game, and that was a barrel of laughs to sit in the Bullinge Road for. Actually, before I make any points, funnily enough, at the end of the game, and I was just like kind of slumped in my seat, feeling a bit sorry for myself. A guy wanders over to me and it goes, "Can you take a selfie with me? Can you take like a picture of me?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." My first time at Goodison. I'm an Arsenal fan. Takes off his jumper. It's only a bloody Arsenal fan sat in our bloody end, isn't it?
He'd have had no issues there.
Nah,
everyone's just like, yeah, whatever.
So I took the photo. I took the photo of him like Goodison and stuff. And he goes, "Can I take a selfie with you as well?" I was like, "Oh, for God's sake!"
It gets worse.
It's probably just to like rub the salt in the wound. I was like, "Oh, cheers, mate."
Quality.
It's weird though because like I've seen. Like I went to Sean Dyche's first game in charge, and obviously that was Arsenal. Like, so I saw with my own eyes, like a lot of those players that started that game were the same players that started on the Sunday just gone, and that game kind of gave like initially there's like some signs or indication as to what Sean was trying to do in that game, in the first one where we beat them, and you're there thinking, okay, we could be on the uptick here. If we stick to these kind of principles, we could go really good. Better than obviously what it has been. To go from that to what I just saw at the weekends, it's just like, how is it the same manager with the same set of players? And it's just so thoroughly awful to just watch, to the point where it's like, for myself, right? You guys know this. I live in Notts. It's a long drive to watch what I've just witnessed. It's too like it's ridiculous, and it's like you said, people are going to stop going because like I try and get to a couple of games a season, and if that's what I'm being served up, it's hard to justify. Like Sean, he's got a couple of games to save his job at this point, because from what I'm seeing, the way he's talking, like even normally when things were going bad at Burnley, you could tell he could cope with the pressure and the heat of it. I'm starting to maybe see him almost like even Sean just like crack a little bit, which is weird because you don't normally expect that from his kind of character, I guess. But from what I'm seeing, like I said, I'm not seeing players improve. I'm not really seeing what it is that we're trying to do except kick it long. Like in the Doncaster game, I saw Pickford try and play it out from the back just instead of lumping it long for once, and it looked like Dyche was having a go at Pickford for doing it, but it turned into like an actual shot on target for Beto to get on the end of. So I don't really see what point Sean was making if changing up was actually working. So, like personally, like from what I've seen so far, I can only see it going one way, and we're going to have a different manager by the end of the January transfer window.
Again.
Yeah. Again.
Well, listen, we could go to Brentford and get a win on Saturday, and that'll change everything. That'll pick everybody up. It'll give him confidence. It'll give the players confidence, the fans confidence, and that's the better of the two arguments, isn't it? We want to win games of football. That's what we all want. We should be. We've asked for doing this. We just asked for a season of steadiness this year. Yeah. So, but you can't get away from facts. The same facts done Lampard in, and the same facts before that done Benitez in, and they were both the right decisions to change their managers. Yeah. And unless he picks up, they'll do him in. Yeah, results cost you your job.
Sorry, mate.
Go on.
I was going to say, for example, we're playing Brentford this weekend. Can you honestly say, hand on heart, you think we've got a good chance to win in the game from what we're seeing so far this season?
No,
because that's the thing. Is like
doesn't mean we can't, but I couldn't say to you, I'll fancy us on Saturday. No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's kind of like that's the worst thing about it, because like my teams when I was younger is like, so I started supporting Everton when I was about 13, 14 or something like that. That's when I actually started getting into football. It was a very late age to start getting into football, but
and you chose Everton, you madman.
My dad's fault. I blame him for all of this.
He's a good lad. He was a good lad making it. Well, he wasn't. You can shout at him.
Well, to be fair, actually, my dad actually made me choose it. It was the season we finished fourth, ironically, and I just started watching more and more games with him, and it was when Dunk scored the winner against Manchester United. That was when I became an Everton.
That's fair play. Then that was a good season.
It was good. And the good thing, the good thing I remember about that, Moyes, is like even my dad was like, even then was on about standards, like, and I was like buzzing off of Everton because we were doing like things like seventh, getting to things like FA Cup finals, and he was like, this is, and even then he was like, this is not good enough. He was like you, Baz, where he saw us win the Cup Winners' Cup, he saw us win the league, he saw us win the FA Cup, so even that wasn't good enough. But for me, that was like, no matter what game we went into, it always felt like we had a chance of at least, like, doesn't matter who came to Goodison. If Liverpool came there, I felt like we have a chance.
Always.
Now, every Merseyside derby, I'm huddled behind a pillow watching this thing because it's just a nightmare. Like,
I'm huddled behind the person next to me in the seat. I mean, just imagine us. The only thing we can moan about is how we don't have a proper go at top four clubs away from home. Because everybody else we'd beat or we'd have a go, and we'd always do well at home against all the big sides. Always. You'd always give them a game. And Arsenal are a really good side, but under a David Moyes side, Everton would have had a right good go at them on Sunday. Might have still ended the same way. We might have lost 1-0. But we'd have come out the ground with having a right good go. And, you know, we're seeing this team the other week against Chelsea. Chelsea battered them the other week. They won 3. West Ham won 3-1.
Yeah.
They were just because they had a plan, and it was clearly give Chelsea the ball because they're better. No, well, that's fine. I heard Thomas Frank talking about this the other night, saying we're trying to have more of the ball, but it would only be 40%. Because even he's going, well, some of these clubs are built that way. But when you break, you have to break with a purpose, and you have to have a purpose. And I think whether you like David Moyes or not, he's very good at having his teams drilled into what. But there's always an attacking element. Always. And you might get, listen, like I said, my frustration at the weekend, Chris, wasn't we lost to Arsenal. It could happen at any time. They're a good side. Everton could have played unbelievably well on Sunday and Arsenal won the game, and you just go, they're a better team. They're a better team. It was the way we played, and particularly the way we played when we went behind was the thing that stuck in my throat. I'm fed up of sitting at Goodison 1-0 down with 15 minutes. It just pisses me off. And there was no way, there was nothing changed. We moved the deck chair, or we didn't actually. We literally just went, you're a right back and we'll just put a different one on instead of you. You're a centre forward, we'll just put, it was nonsense. And there was no blood and thunder. There was no making Arsenal feel like they were under pressure with 10 minutes left. Imagine being away from home like that and being as comfortable as they were. And I know they're a good side, but there's varying teams you play in the Premier League. Everton could go to who's come up. Everton could go. Say Everton went to Luton near the end of it, and Luton are relegated, and we're 15th, but we're not going down, and confident, we wouldn't have 10 minutes at the end of a game where we're winning 1-0 and they don't get out their own half, no matter how good, bad, indifferent they are. So that was the disappointment for me. Yeah. Not losing to Arsenal, but the way we didn't even have a go at them. That's what frustrated me more than anything. And to lose 6 home games in 7 is astonishing that Everton Football Club can do this. It's pathetic. I've seen us with terrible footballers in our team giving teams a go and not losing that many games. So that's what frustrated me at the weekend.
And that's the minimum standard as well. It like to a certain degree, it's like, even if you're not very good, as long as you give everything that you've got to try and win a game, I can at least get behind you. It's like I got the amount of stick I got for defending Tom Davies at times. With his guy, but it's like I always felt like he was an Evertonian. He knew what it meant. And
you've just lost a few. You've just lost a few people here, mate. Mention them big Tom.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like I know. For me, Tom was always like he was the holding midfielder who helped us win the derby at Anfield. So I'll always thank him for that.
Fair play.
Yeah,
to
exactly. But no, you're absolutely right. Like that record, 6 home games out of 7 lost. Like for any club, that is pathetic, regardless of the outside noise around it. That's unforgivable. The amount, I've saw people saying, I saw on Sky Sports saying, oh, they shored up the defense. He hasn't. It's objectively worse. It
is worse. He'd made the attacking stats better, but his defensive numbers are worse than Lampard's, which is strange.
It's ridiculous. I always wanted to talk a bit about 777.
Go on, mate.
I don't know how I feel about it, because on one hand, all the stories sound horrendous. The kind of people we could be dealing with are it doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence. They're billionaires, so there's no such a thing as a good billionaire. Not really, but so that there's a certain pinch of salt you've got to take with that. But if they run our business, they run Everton as a competent business, we don't know that they're going to do that. Then maybe there's something we can get on board with, which is also a sad indictment of our club, that we're at that point where we just want that. All we want from our next owners is to just run this place properly. That's really bad.
Be a start.
Yeah, be an absolute start.
Yeah.
But I don't really know what to say. And I should probably let another caller have their say, really.
Nice one,
Chris. Great points. Mate. Let's see what happens. Thanks. Yeah. Good call, mate. Take care.
See you later.
All right, guys. See you later,
mate. Ta-ra, Chris. Ta-ra. No one else waiting, is there, Ned?
No, well, get rid of them.
Okay. Right. There you go, then. There you go. Yeah. Let's see what happens. Thank you, everybody who was called in. Thank you, everybody who has been in the comments as well. Some great comments as well. Make sure you subscribe. It's free. Like it. Subscribe to More Than a Game Channel as well. We're edging closer to that 10,000. That's the first marker. So, like we've said before on that one, the bigger, the more numbers we get on that, the better guests we can attract with it. We try to grow that. It's all football on that one as well. So thanks very much. Sniffer says, keeping me entertained while sat on a runway in Italy. Been an hour already. Top show. Like and subscribe. It's free. Sniffer is a Newcastle fan coming back from Milan. So we hope you were all right, mate, because there was a little bit of trouble over there. But a great point for Newcastle that last night. Listen, thank you everybody for joining us. Premier members, we'll see you tomorrow. Take it easy. Bye.